With the time being approximately 6:03, let's call the Town Building Committee meeting to order for Wednesday, March 26, 2025. First item on the agenda, WT Rich Company Construction Manager updates.
All right.
You're on.
Sure, you've all driven by the site, so it gives you a good idea where we're at, but we're in good shape. Finally, the weather's gotten better, and we're not dealing with snow on the roof and all that stuff, so which is great. We're actually weather tight in both buildings, so that's kicked off all the MEP roughs now over in Town Hall. Kind of an exciting milestone for us this past week, or this last week. We were able to, as planned, the rooftop units arrived for the Town Hall building. We had a good plan. We had already had the roof done. Did put it together in such a way that we could take it apart easily. We took it apart, craned the units in, put the roof back together. In 2 to 3 days, we were back to where we were. So that was a nice sequence of events. We actually started planning that since we found out the RTUs were going to be late. So anyway, that was really exciting. One of the big milestones coming up is the apparatus-based slab. So we're middle of April, we're going to be pouring that. We've got all the radiant heat down, all the slab rebar is down. So that'll be a major milestone coming up for us here. And catching up on Town Hall, we're bringing the masonry over to Town Hall next week. So you'll
move them over.
Actually, not even moving. We're adding a crew. So
nice.
they're running about 12 to 15 guys. So we'll be up in those numbers as well.
Good.
They still got to do the final clean on the.
Oh yeah. Then they're doing that in sections as they work
Understood,
around.
yeah.
So
That's what I
it was more difficult with when the weather was cold. They really couldn't do it. But so, any major questions on the schedule?
No, not for
Like
me.
to go over?
Folks. It's looking good.
All right.
Pretty happy.
Great. There's really nothing on buyout to cover, just the final cleaning that's left. Permit status, we're just waiting on the fire alarm permit. Scott's got it. Fire department's already looked at it. Just waiting to get it back. Schedule reviewed. And also on here, the irrigation proposal. So we do have the finalized scope for electrical and plumbing. So we'll fine tune that. We had allowances included in the original change order.
Yep.
So we'll submit another change order to kind of balance out where we are between the allowances and the actual costs.
Great.
So,
Quick question for you.
Deduct change order, right?
yeah, let's hope so. Right.
To
Yes.
the right of the public safety building, close to 114, what is that? Is that a retention pond?
Yes.
It is.
And it's going to be there always.
It will be.
Is it enclosed? It's hard to see driving by, but is there a brick, a concrete surrounding it?
No, there's a retaining wall on the public safety side
Yeah.
of that, but there's no.
Nothing on the other side.
It's all just.
There'll be a fence, though.
Yeah, there will be a fence. I'm sorry. Yeah,
But it will drain, though.
no stone or anything.
There's no connection.
Correct.
It's not connected right now.
Is it something
It is.
that would
It is
ever be
actually
used?
connected, yeah.
It's connected.
It has it will only drain. So right now it has a lot of water in it.
Yep.
Once it gets above a certain point, will drain down Wennerberg. There's a pathway there, but it has to get up to a certain height before it will actually start draining.
You can see the stones, like as you're it's close to the road, there's like a little swale thing that comes out.
Yep.
It has to get to that level to spill over and then go into the system in 114 and then down Winterberg.
Right.
I wasn't worried about that. I'm wondering if that would be something that would be, could be used for passive recreation.
You want us to stock it with fish?
No, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad
It does
idea.
go into groundwater for a bit.
No, I'm just wondering, during the winter, it's gonna freeze.
Yeah, I don't think.
Well, it
so
was
what
like a
happened-
skating rink out there in February.
Yeah, but I think that was kind of why was that? That
It's
shouldn't be.
behind the secure area
Yeah.
of the public safety building. It's not a portion of the site that is accessible to the
Okay.
public.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to talk to the town administrator about maybe having them make like a skating rink
it's
on
conceivably
the
could
new
be
town
dry.
common.
Well,
Good idea.
It
Yeah,
could,
yeah.
yeah, so that area originally, if you look through aerial photographs through the time when it was golf course, that area floods, you know, a lot at this time of year.
Yep.
Right.
But in the summertime, it's
Yep.
more than likely going to be dry,
Yeah, if we don't
because
get a lot
that's
of
sort
snow,
of
if
the
we don't get
historical
snow.
patterns
Yeah.
of that site. We do have the detention basin at the rear of the property, which is a new one.
Structure, yeah.
That is holding water right now too. That is in the public realm, but it's steeply banked. You know, you wouldn't want to be using that.
And it will be fenced.
And it's going to be planted. There's going to be vegetation that grows in there.
And that should be draining over a certain period of time after storm events, so it's designed to drain in 3 days, I think, is what it is. So it should be above the groundwater table and draining within about 3 days. That's the permit requirement from.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Poison. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, anyhow, they wouldn't be using that. It's just kind of. It's not really accessible.
Yep.
Right.
Thanks.
Matt, do you have other sides too? You want to go through?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Just on the budget-wise, contingency, we're in great shape. Almost 1.9 million value remaining. Same thing with allowances. We have started to use some allowances here, for good reason. So in the change order 5, we've got 32,000 today that in allowances that Brian will share with you. But we got, 2 million in allowances as well left over. So overall, in great shape with that. And that's really it. Owner change orders 1 through 4 is, 449,000. And 5 you'll see today.
Okay.
Cool.
Other than that, I'm good.
All right, PCA, you're up.
We'll switch slideshows. All right. Please go on. There we go.
There you go.
So just a quick update. That was what Matt was talking about. They opened up the town hall roof so that they could crane in the air handler units. There are 2 of them. So this is a picture in the day that they were peeling back the roof to put them in. And as Matt said, it was very well run operation, very well planned. Went off without a hitch, and there was an awful lot of trades that were involved. So it was evident to all of us that it was very carefully executed and planned.
Great.
We just issued an email earlier today with our monthly report. I handed out copies of that too. It has an executive summary of where things stand, forecast, sort of looking ahead of what's coming on the project, and some financials too. And then project schedule, as Matt alluded to, this is the same one that we presented to you originally when work started. So just to let you know that everything is still tracking to the original schedule, the broad brush schedule. We do get an update once a month from WT Rich, which is very detailed. I sent it to you earlier today in my email. In there it has all the very detailed Gantt schedule. One of the pieces that we look at is the critical path on the project. What is the thing that's going to hold us up if there's a problem? And it still remains the electrical equipment is the thing that is the critical path. But so far, everything is tracking as scheduled, so we don't expect it's going to impact the schedule. But this is the critical schedule that we do watch. So other things that are potentially impacting the schedule, we do have some ASIs and pricing requests that have come through recently that are still being priced. We won't know the impact, if any, to schedule. We don't expect there will be any. Most of them are pretty benign. Mass DOT permit was issued last month. There are some requirements in there that we're working through. There's also, the April moratorium is up on the 15th. We did get approval to start 2 weeks early, so that's good. And so we're just trying to work through a couple things to make sure that we can support WT Rich, and I'll present that in just a few moments. And as Matt alluded to, the weather, it was kind of a challenging winter. It was very cold. colder than usual, which definitely made things a bit challenging. Site work's back up and running, and JDC, which is a big excavator, has a lot of reach. So the good news is we have a company that can get the job done, so we're feeling pretty good about that. And then, the air handling units, which was another thing that we were tracking. In the end, it all went off perfectly, so really not a concern. So those are some of the things that we were tracking in terms of the schedule. We have our progress here. This is just the town hall. I shortened it, so it starts from a little over 30 days ago, just to show you what's going on with town hall. You can see how snowy the site was through the winter, just highlights how cold it was and wet. Now that the site is thawed out, became very muddy. But WT Rich and JDC has worked to put down some better soil so that we're not tracking mud out into 114, which started to happen. And then, let's see, God, why does it do that? This is the time lapse from the original building, and I'll talk over it. So as Matt said, the masonry work is going very well now that we're not having to deal with winter conditions. They're able to move a little quicker, and their manpower is really ramped up. The job is running a little over 80 consistently on the job every day. And now that Town Hall, we're going to be adding another crew for Mason there, and we're expanding more work. JDC is also adding more men. I would expect in a month we'll probably see about 100 workmen on site. So we are, and you'll see in the cash flow, we're about to hit sort of the peak of the project, and that's where you get that manpower. You're able to put a lot of work in place. Double tap. There we go. You can see here in this picture, the new roof material is going on. They're working their way around. This is just from a couple days ago. The mason is out in the front of the apparatus bay, and then once you're done there, they're going to start moving to the front here. But on the exterior, it's busy. The interior is even busier. I have some pictures I'll show you of the inside. Here you can see all the roughing is going in, the plumbers, HVAC, electrician. There's just a beehive of work. The mason's working not only on the outside but inside, building some of the CMU walls around. Now they're into the detention area, so that's quite a bit of work for them inside there. And then all the metal framing is up. They've got drywall at the top parts of the walls, and real soon, I think within 2 weeks, and your look ahead is drywall is going to start happening on the inside. Which is a major milestone in the project to get beyond rough-in and starting really the finishes with drywall. Town Hall is lagging a little bit, but that's because of the staggered approach to the project. But it is also starting to ramp up. They're framing on both levels and rough-ins going on both levels too. So Town Hall has really taken shape very quickly. This is a picture of what's going on the first floor of Town Hall, and then you can see on the second floor they're putting the drywall, which goes underneath the trusses, and then underneath that they can then start putting their track for the walls. So that is moving along quite quickly too. The project website, we just put up a blog post last week with the placement of those AHUs. It was some good pictures to use, and Casey's working on an update right now, which is Route 114 work is about to begin. Starting on the 31st of the month, they're going to be doing dig safe markings and beginning to put some of the construction work ahead signs and getting ready for the work they're going to be doing in the roadway. Awesome. So they're going to start with the water connections. They have 2 water connections, one for the campus and one for the public safety building. Those will go in, and then the traffic signal foundation work will begin too. So you'll start to see cones and activity on Route 114 real soon. So that blog post is sort of an advance notice of what's to come. Budget update, we really have very few changes to the budget. The detail that I gave you here Really the part that, if you focus in on the column on the right, it's the remaining uncommitted. That's the portions of the budget that we have yet to allocate yet and, tie to a contract. But under other project costs, we are in the process of working on furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So soon, we're going to be going out to bid in the next few months. And then we have some technology and equipment that we're going to be awarding to, but we're in the beginnings of the procurement process of that. So we'll be coming to you in the next 2 to 3 months with requests to award, which will start to use up some of those items. And then at the very bottom, under owner's contingencies, you can see the funds that remain unused so far that are sitting in our contingency. So right now, just under 5 million uncommitted, but that we will be using a portion of that. And then, Matt's budget has just under 4 million, but again, some of that will also be used. There's allowances for like winter conditions. We have a PCO that I expect next month, which will be the balance of what we had to use for winter conditions.
Correct.
And you're gonna see in change order 5, which I'll present to you in just a moment, winter concrete and some other activities that we've used, about 30,000 of that allowance. So that's sort of the quick budget update there. 2 transfers that I have this month. I just had a small amount that I needed to move out of owner contingency to cover under A&E additional services. It's just billing every month. When you've approved something, as the billing comes in, I just move the money in based on whatever our invoice amounts are. And then there was one, I had an invoice for GPI. It was a few $100s. I had to just balance out our budget, so I had to move some money. That was for additional, a second look at some additional information, so it's, under $1,000. That's it for transfers. Cash flow, as I mentioned, we're about to sort of hit the peak of the project. This is when the project really, there's a lot going on. We're summertime, good weather, and the tempo is really going to pick up quite a bit in the next 2 months. And then after we get into September, that's when we start to see the dip down on the cash flow. So additional services requests, some owner consultants. We have GPI, which is our traffic engineer. Mass DOT requires that we have continuous supervision of the work by an independent third-party consultant.
For the signal.
For the signal work.
For the signal.
Understood. And so I got an initial proposal from GPI for it. It's much too high. We're working with them to tailor the services to the right amount. So Bill is going to help me with that too. I forwarded him a very detailed review I had of their proposal. This is Bill's wheelhouse. So he and I will together sort of work through this with GPI. So I just got the cost in last night. So today I sent them a detailed review, and Bill's on that. So I don't have that for you tonight. I wanted to be able to bring it to you for your approval, but it was just too high. LW Bills, which is our station alerting system, fire department's been fantastic. We've worked through the scope of work with them. I finally got a proposal. I feel like I've been asking for this for almost a year. So because of the state purchasing contract rules and the amount of their proposal, it's higher than I expected, but we're going to go out and solicit 2 additional proposals. I only have to receive one other. So we'll have another competing proposal for you next month, hopefully, for that before we make the award. So those are 2 things that I'm working on, and that's it for additional services. PCOs, let me just go to the screen real quick. We've had a bunch that were pending that we've moved to void. Matt and I worked on that this week. So there's a bunch of these that they were placeholder amounts we were tracking, could potentially result in change orders, and we've gotten past that point. So we've been able to take a bunch of these out. Those are the ones that are grayed. The one in yellow here, it's with the design engineers just reviewing. We had a redesign, and then the cost changed a little bit, like a couple $100. So it's in review with GGD now. So we're not quite ready to present it to you, but it's coming up soon. So these other ones here you see in white, these are the placeholders that I was mentioning. Some of these will end up being cost. Matt and I have talked about it. We think that these will yield cost. Maybe one or two might go to void. So he and I are working on it right now. The ones that I want to point out to you, the exterior cladding at the apparatus bay context, worked with their structural engineer to come up with an alternate design. It's a small section of exterior wall that had there was an issue with how it was going to be supported. And so we were originally going to go to like clapboard.
You're talking about the band course, how that was gonna be
It's in
split?
the very back of the building, above the flat roof. I mean, you will never see it. Nobody will ever see it except for the firemen out on the roof when they're training. It's a small section. So we initially thought we could just change it to clapboard, and then our support issue went away, and it ended up being more expensive. So now we came up with another approach for how we can support it that we think is going to be a lot less than the 32 that we have right now. So we work in the background very hard to try and get these costs down before we even present them to you. So that's one that we're working on. Light fixture modifications is with the design team. They're just reviewing some information. Similar with grease interceptor, originally this was going to be underhung by the structure above, but due to the requirements of the equipment, it has to be placed on a slab. So there was a change made to create a room where we could put this in on the public safety building, and the design team is just reviewing the cost right now for that, because it covers a couple different trades. So we're just working through that right now. So those are some that are in progress. We have change order 5, which I'm going to present these to you now on that change order. So this change order is for a total of $52,177. It really represents two costs. One is the vehicle exhaust system change. The station right now uses a pneumatic system, and that was the basis of design. But after we got the vendor on board, and we realized there might be a better option for the town moving forward, a little bit more modern system. With mutual aid, trucks move around. It's nice to use a system that is more common. So we went with a plyo vent system, and it's magnetic instead of a pneumatic. So it makes a lot of sense for the future of the station and flexibility. The system allows for trucks to be able to pull tandem through in the same direction, or they could back in from both directions. So the first 4 bays are going to be completely flexible, which we didn't have that opportunity before. We will now with the change of the system. So this made a lot of sense for us to make this change. It was $66,000, but we have an offsetting credit because now we can downsize the compressor because we're not using that much compressed air throughout the station. So that helps. So we were able to get the cost down to $52,000, but it absolutely makes a lot of sense for the future of the station, and it gives them the greatest amount of flexibility. So those are the two that are increases the contract for W.T. Rich. Others are allowance draws. So we have the winter concrete I had mentioned before, which is $27,000. We'll have one more at least coming up probably next month, which will be the balance of winter conditions. We had this beam in the multi-purpose room at Town Hall that was conflicting with the finished conditions, so we had to cut the beam. We ended up doing that on a T&M basis, and we're using allowance to cover that cost. We ended up getting that down to like...
It was a couple grand.
Well, under $2,000, so it's small money. The radiant heat, because of the change, when we went to submittal, it was a different product than the basis of design, so we had to change the breaker in the main switchgear. Small adjustment, so that was an allowance within GMP. Some coordination in the attic of the town hall, pretty tight, a lot of stuff up there. We moved the hot water heater up there. The initial spot didn't work, so we moved it to somewhere else. There's a little cost to extend the piping a little further and a little bit more coordination that would, again, as an allowance. And then this $160, we just, in doing an evaluation of change order 2 and 3, we found 2 typos that were very small. So rather than reissue those change orders and have them re-signed, I asked Matt to just issue a PCO to clean that up, and it's $160, so that's all that is. It's really an accounting thing. So with that, we'd like to get an approval from the Building Committee for change order 5, a recommendation to approve to the Select Board.
Any questions, folks? It's all pretty straightforward stuff, right? All right, can I get a motion to approve change order number 5?
Bill, I'd like to make a motion to approve change order number 5.
Can I get a second, Paul?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Great. We have payment, construction requisition for payment number 9 for W.T. Rich, which we're presenting to you for your recommendation to approve. The Select Board, $3,234,000. This almost hit the number I had in the cash flow, so I was pretty happy with that. But,
I noticed that as well.
in
Very
order,
detailed.
to get this project done on time, these guys need to put work in place. So that's another metric, how we make sure that they're on track with their schedule, is that they're billing a requisite amount. And so this is right in line with what we expected. Andrew, Chris, and I spent a lot of time going through 60 pages of detail accounting, and we made a few adjustments, and that's the number that Chris has certified. So with that, we'd like your approval to pay that.
folks, can I get a motion, oh, do you have any questions first? We're all good? All right, can I get a motion for requisition payment number 9? To approve it?
Brian, what was the total amount again?
Oh, here, let me give
You
you
do have a question.
a bigger
How dare
map.
you.
Sorry, I can't see anything.
I needed to be able to enlarge it to, let's see, where, why is this not seeing, I'm not seeing the detail. Well, I'll tell it to you right now. It's, the amount certified is $3,234,495.
Bill, I'd like to make a motion to approve construction rec for number 9 in the amount of $3,234,495.
Can I get a second, Paul?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank
Brian, you have anything else?
Um,
You're thanking us, besides thanking us?
Well, I guess I don't have to say thank you, but we took the picture on Monday, so it's a little dreary, but you can see how the town hall
Yeah.
is starting to match up to the rendering. So you can see the dream is coming to fruition.
It's looking good, I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the details on the fire and police station. Like the banding up at the top there, that looks pretty solid.
Sharp.
Sharp.
So I guess other things on the list here, communication tower update. We're tentatively planning for an installation of the tower in July. We're working through some coordination items with Captain Duchesne. Has been very helpful. So we might be moving a few small antennas for the alerting system over to the communication tower rather than being on the building. And then we're working with Context on potentially changing where the cables enter the building and how they get routed to the radio room. So those are some things we're working on right now. The building inspector asked us to get an affidavit from our vendor for the foundation and an as-built. So we're working on those two things for the building inspector so that he can issue the permit for the installation of the tower. So that's coming along. And I had already mentioned about our alerting vendors. We're already out requesting pricing from others for that. So hopefully I'll have that for you next month. And then we went through the other items. So I have nothing else, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Awesome. Context, anything new to add?
Anything new to add? Just that we continue with RFIs and submittals, consultant site visits, with our next MEPFP site visit on Monday, and we have been meeting with Justin and Jackie about FF&E to get that ball rolling, and we feel like we're at a good clip at this point.
Cool, that's good, thanks. So I think we have pavilion design next up, right?
Yes, so we have a submittal for the pavilion design. This is the product data sheet that was submitted for it. It matches basically the design intent and the construction documents. The thing that we wanted to present to this committee tonight is the pavilion is specified as metal structure with cedar roof. So the cedar roof is the finish, right? We don't have anything to select there, but we do need to select a color, or at least start to think about the color for the metal structure. And so the manufacturer has a set of standard colors available. And because this is digital, I did bring the actual fan deck that would represent the real colors.
So this is for the supports, you're saying, for the
For
columns?
the
the columns?
yes, the exposed structure that you'll see from the street, from the green.
So probably the trim around the perimeter at the top where the roof shingles end, and then the verticals
Exactly,
or whatever.
yeah.
Okay,
Are we
gotcha.
thinking all the same color for all of that, or we would?
Yes, we're thinking one color for the structure and then the cedar shingles for the roof. And so
Colors that you flag right there complement the buildings?
we believe so, and so the colors that we think we would recommend are gray, white, and traffic white.
So we have two sections we're doing it, or just those are ones that you're saying make sense?
We think those, out of the standard offerings, those are the two that make sense for the campus.
So either or?
Yes.
So
Gotcha.
didn't we do like all the furnishings and everything in one color? Didn't we do that?
Yeah, they're
that's black.
sort of a gray
Gray-black.
color.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we think that makes sense to keep it consistent, or do we not like that, or do we want to go with white?
I thought when you started the conversation, you said that you were selecting two colors, one for the main color and one for the trim, or it's just gonna be one color?
It's just one
Gotcha.
color.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Kyle Smith did send a correspondence saying that he doesn't have a strong opinion of the colors, but would suggest picking something that will coordinate well with the cedar shingle roof, neutral or earthy tones, ? And potentially lighter colors that would better reflect sunlight instead of absorbing it.
All right, well, we got Kyle that has an opinion.
So over time,
Well, but he's not here, so we can totally overrule him. It's entirely whatever we want to
so
do.
over time, the cedar shingles are gonna go naturally gray, correct?
Yes.
Well, they're red cedar, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're red cedar, so they won't go gray.
I
They're not
gotcha.
go gray, go black.
Yeah.
So we got that black already, so that would look too black.
The turquoise up there, if you want.
I saw the turquoise. We're gonna stay away from that one. I think, unless everybody feels really strongly about turquoise. What do you think, guys? I'm in.
If you'd like to take a look at the fan deck, you can get a better sense of that than the digital versions.
I'd probably be okay with anything except for bright red, rusty brown, or turquoise.
There you go.
Whatever you guys want. I'm good with the gray,
I mean, earthy
white.
tone would be the gray, right? If you're trying to go earthy, otherwise you're going white. So,
I like the white.
all right, we have a strong opinion on white. Seeing no other strong opinions.
Just a question about the
Jackie.
white, though.
Yeah.
From a maintenance standpoint, is that going to show? Is that going to accumulate soot and whatnot from 114 and,
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, no different than any other color, but
well, white shows more than,
You'd probably be a little bit better with the gray, but
I mean, I think you're gonna get it. You're gonna have
One
to
way or
clean,
another.
You're gonna have to clean it. I
Okay.
mean, I can't see. us
where's the
not
closest
doing
spigot in relation to the gazebo?
that's a great question that I don't have answers here for you.
Not one on the
One off the
gazebo.
I think there's
irrigation.
one.
it. Is that gonna be added to the irrigation plan now?
If I hose the thing down
Well, I think
once
there
a
already
year,
is
and
one.
it'll be
Is there
good,
one?
right?
Not terribly far.
Power wash it.
It would.
So we said white, but just for clarification, both of the colors we suggested have white in the name. So there's traffic white and gray white.
Gray white.
Is there a preference for either one of those whites?
Well, I'm hearing try to keep it a little bit darker for the. So let's go traffic gray white.
What do
Gray
you
white.
guys think?
I'm indifferent.
Staying away. He's on gray white. I was on gray white.
Gray white.
Kyle seems to be okay with gray white, so we will. I think we'll go with gray white, right? Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
We want to
Thank
take a vote for that, or we just gave it to you? I don't think we have to vote, right?
Unanimous?
I think we get unanimous. Yep.
Yes.
All in favor, yay. All right,
Thank you.
that was easy.
Got to vote.
What's that? You forgot to vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still unanimous.
You got outvoted.
Okay.
So, moving on to other topics, meeting notes approval for the 2/19 meeting. I haven't had a chance to go through the video, so, I mean, I wouldn't be able to vote, so do we want to just table that to next meeting?
Yeah, I haven't.
And plus, everybody else was there, so is that cool? All right, so we're just going to table that, folks. And anything else that we didn't think of to throw on the agenda?
Mr. Chair, can I provide one update?
You can.
So the building committee will have received an email from me earlier this week. There will be a sign-up going out, link, so you can sign up if you want to do a tour. Alex Leosis from PCA 360 is gonna be doing tours. We'll schedule a number of times, and that way you can sign up at your convenience. But he'll bring you inside the buildings a little bit more in-depth than you'll see from the videos and the photos.
Awesome.
It'll be the building committee, select board, finance committee. We just can't fit all of you at the same time.
Think it's gonna be during the day, during normal hours, or what are you thinking?
It's gonna be during normal hours when the site's active, but I'm trying to do like 9 to 10 a.m. and 3 to 4 p.m. But Nick, I know that's hard for you, so.
Maybe there's a Monday and a Friday that you got something going on.
Yeah,
I can
let's
attend.
let's
All
work
right,
on it
very
so
good.
we want you to all be
Sounds
able
good.
to go in and see at this stage and be there in person, so we can talk offline about it, but I just want to put that on your radar that sign up as soon as that link goes out, which will be tomorrow.
I dig it.
One other quick question. You guys come up with a determination with Eileen and everybody about the carpets and the colors and all that stuff on the interior?
Yep, we have
All right,
consensus on that.
very good.
We have, it looks good. I saw it today before I came here, so there you go. Turquoise
I got.
tiles in the bathroom are looking good. All right. Anything else from you folks that you might have thought of before we call it? Seeing none. All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
You can make a motion to adjourn, Bill.
So moved. I got a gavel, so.